Second graders, we just reviewed the tricky words that we're going to see today in Mr. Putter and Tabby Paint the Porch. So we need to remember our learning target for today is I can read and understand my books. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to stop, think, and then tell what's happening in our story so far. So before we start, we've practiced taking a sneak peek before we read and making a prediction about what our story is going to be about. So we have Mr. Putter and Tabby paint the porch, and if you look really closely at the cover, you can see this guy and his cat in this little circle, and I'm going to guess that that must be Mr. Putter and Tabby, and we see him painting his porch, and we see a chipmunk and a squirrel and the cat looking into the paint bucket, and I'm going to predict that somehow the cat is going to help him because it says that they both paint the porch. So I'm wondering how that might happen, but I'm thinking my prediction is going to be somehow Tabby is going to help Mr. Putter paint the porch. This book is by Cynthia Rylant. She also wrote Henry and Mudge. Chapter 1, The Porch. It was springtime, and Mr. Putter and his fine cat Tabby were feeling very chipper. The birds sang, the sun shone, the flowers bloomed. Mr. Putter and Tabby went out on the front porch with a book. "Let me read you a funny story," Mr. Putter said to Tabby. Tabby purred. She liked funny stories. She curled up beside Mr. Putter and waited, and waited, and waited. I wonder why he's not reading the story. But Mr. Putter was not even looking at the book. He was looking at a porch post. Said Mr. Putter. He picked up Tabby and looked more closely. He said again. Mr. Putter walked all around the porch, looking and saying, Finally, he said, "Tabby, this porch needs some paint. First, I'm going to paint the porch, then I will read you a story." Tabby purred. She loved Mr. Putter's plans, especially when they included her. She followed him to the basement, swishing her tail, happy it was spring. And that is the end of our chapter. So that's where we're going to stop for right now. So this is where we're practicing our strategy. So second graders, watch how this works when we practice this strategy. We stopped, and then I'm going to use my whiteboard. Today I have a piece of paper too, but you'll have your whiteboard or your notebook and your pencil. And we're stopping, and then we're thinking. And when we're thinking, we're asking ourselves, who was that part of the story about? And then what did they do that was important in that part of the story, or what happened to them that was important? So I'm going to write on my paper, this part of the story was about Mr. Putter. So I'm writing a few reminders so that I can retell what happened. I don't even have to write his whole name. I'm just going to write Mr. P for Mr. Putter because that will remind me of his name. And then I'm going to write, it was about his cat, Tabby. And I'm remembering, porch. That was that's where they were, so that was important in the story. And then I'm thinking, what did they do? And so I'm thinking about Mr. Putter. He kept saying, and so he was going to, I'm writing the word book, and then I'm going to write paint. It doesn't matter if you spell your words correctly, just spell the best you can. So now I'm putting this on my chart. You would just have this in your notebook or on your whiteboard, but I'm going to use my words that I was thinking about to help me retell the story. So far in our story, Mr. Putter and Tabby went onto the porch and he was going to read her a book. But he started looking around and he noticed that his porch needed to be painted. So that's what happened in my story so far, and that was my retell. Now I can start reading chapter 2. Click to the next slide.